by AI. Let's see what this is about. It's going to be a bit fast because I have too many slides for too little time. As you just heard, so my title is Creative Technologist. That means I'm working on the intersection of innovation processes and the question of how can we benefit in this context from digital solutions. And of course, AI is a big topic for us at the moment. The company I'm working for is called HYVE, and what we do is we support companies in their innovation efforts because we think there's no way around being innovative and updating the way you create value for your customers. This is the field that we're active in. We're doing that for 24 years, introduced more than 200 products to the market in the meantime, and what has always been important to us is scientific publication. So we're always doing our research. We try to understand what's the status quo, how can we contribute to that, and be ahead in the field of innovation management. I think most of you, maybe all of you, interacted with a HYVE design product today or yesterday. Maybe you could already find it. So in the bathroom here, we have a product that we designed, actually, the paper dispenser is something that we worked on. So this is one field that we're active in, hardware, but also digital solutions up to services. So we're actually the lead service discovery agency for BMW. So this is the spread that we're doing, value creation from physical to services. I brought one example today that was not on the list that you just saw, and it's a special one because the example for an innovation project that I want to share with you today is our own innovation journey. Because it illustrates how we tackle this approach of AI in innovation management, and I think there's some interdependencies that we already discovered today and yesterday between innovation management and AI and creating value with AI as an organization. Why do we consider that topic to be so important? Well, we have a couple of search fields that are topics that we are discussing with our customers, but that we are also reflecting within our organization. And a very central topic here is AI and innovation, and this is because we know that there's a lot of potential to accelerate the work that we're doing with this technology. So we spent the last couple of years using that in individual projects. We did studies within the industry to understand, okay, how well does it reflect? And it was a certain, traction on that topic, but when Gen AI was rising, we felt like, well, this is different. This is not just, reassuring that we're on the right track, but we have to find a way to strategically implement that topic and change the way we work. So the question that we have to ask ourselves is, how can we integrate AI in the way we work? Because if we don't, we will lose our competitive advantage. So we have to find a way of dealing with that. We could benefit a lot in this journey of changing ourselves based on our experience that we have in developing products and services. Because here we have a similar situation of, well, if you brief your entire organization on, we need a disruptive new product, let's do it. What will happen? Probably, first of all, nothing, because it's nobody's responsibility. Then if you force people to do it, what will happen? Everyone will follow their own agenda, their intuition, and come up with some suggestion. Most of those initiatives will die, and those that make it to some point will burn a lot of resources. And if you force that to a common product, introduce that to a customer, chances are low that this customer will like it. So what you need is a strategic approach to that, right? You need to have a clear idea of who's responsible for what, and what is the common direction that we're developing. And it's the same for the transformation project that we did on ourselves. We want to have a common vision. We don't just want to explode and do everything at the same time and then see what happens. What does it look like to do such an strategic innovation journey? This is really something that we oftentimes do before we dive into the actual innovation projects. This is what we say is a clear foundation that helps you to start with your innovation efforts, because if you don't have that, you don't really know in which direction to steer. So this is a 4-step process that we like to use that starts with understanding the future of your industry. If you have an understanding of that, you're more capable of trying to place yourself in the map of potential futures. Where do you want to take place? If you know your future position, where you would like to place yourself, it's easier to identify what are the actions that take me there from the place I am at the moment. And only if you have this clear plan of actions, you can really roll out, define a roadmap, allocate responsibilities, and all of that. So we used to that kind of working for products and this kind of innovation, and now we use that for transformation projects as well. So step number one, envision the future of our industry. Of course, we can't just look into the future and say, well, this is how innovation management will happen. What we have to do is we look at the current situation. We have to identify trends and tendencies, and then we can predict and expect certain situations for the future. So that means we have to do research. We have to understand what's going on. I brought one example of the way we do research because it's, again, connecting to the topic of AI. We like to use Miro as a digital whiteboard solution to structure the research insights that we have. So for us, it was early on an idea of, hey, why can't we use some of the LLM capabilities in Miro? And we developed our own little plugin that would do that, and that would allow us to automate some of the manual tasks that we would do in Miro. And in this example, we used that to create a model that helps us, or a method that helps us to accelerate the research along the HYVE radar. This is just a framework of questions and topics that we're always diving in when we want to draw a holistic picture on a certain situation. And we use that to kind of kickstart the research and use a short video that shows you how that works. So we define the topic that we're researching, AI and innovation management in this case. We have a couple of research questions already predefined, and we're using this little plugin to answer those questions. I'm showing you that not to say, well, this is all we do in research, and then we're done. No, this is just one little piece in the process that helps us to be very fast in creating a foundation. What are the aspects that we have to validate? What do we need to understand? And then we can go and do deep dives, talk to people, validate that, do our research, and then get an understanding of what is the potential future of our industry. Now, when we do that, we have all this experience and we have a lot of data lying around. What do we do with it? How do we make a decision on where to place ourselves in this context and all those possibilities that we have? One method that proved quite successful for us is really just trying to map what are the key drivers, what are the key differences in the different versions of potential futures that we see. And for AI and innovation management, what we chose to use as dimensions is, on the one hand side, do we expect humans to still steer the entire innovation process? Or another extreme would be, do we allow machines to make most of the decision making and drive this kind of process? Second axis is, when we talk about AI, or Gen AI in particular, are talking about automating individual tasks, or are we talking about more like a collaborative way of working with some kind of agents? That's a bit abstract, but I think it gets clearer when we look at the individual scenarios that we can draw from that. Number one would be in innovation management and this whole process of how do we come up with new ways of creating value, we'll use more efficient tools. Let's say if I know there's perplexity, why would I go and use Google? That's something that we expect to happen to some extent for sure. Okay, now when we have the possibility to automate individual tasks and those automations are more and more flexible, why don't we just chain them, sequence them? RPA we already talked about, so this is another scenario that feels realistic. If we allow the machine to make more of the decision making, or if we are okay with less supervision. Now when we consider this more like collaborative agent style interaction with AI, but still we want to have humans making the decisions, we're probably talking about more like a co-pilot situation of a human wanting something, asking the system to do it, it comes back with an answer, but it's like a virtual collaboration partner that we just heard with for example, the radiologist and the AI system that is kind of working together on something. And in many cases, the most, let's say disruptive scenario is probably the top right. Maybe the same in this case. Now, if we have more like an agent-style interaction with AI, and we let this agent make a lot of the decision-making, we're talking about something that we call autonomous pipelines or autopilots. So the idea here is if all the data that we have on our users, on our operations, on future predictions, trend studies, and so on, if this is something that we can manually work ourselves through, we could also provide some kind of agent with that, and then follow a method that this agent is coming up and a process that this agent is controlling and steering. It sounds a bit abstract, but some of our clients are already working in this direction. So this is not something that we talk about as like a sci-fi situation where we're not sure if this is going to happen or not. But in some industries, there's quite an interest in at least automizing some parts of the innovation process with this kind of approach. For us, now the exercise is where do we bet the money on? Where do we see our future? And we don't say we can just select one of those scenarios and say this is what's going to happen and everything else will be non-existent. But we really think all of this will be implemented to some degree in most industries. But what will be the case in any innovation team for sure is the tool improvement scenario. So there's no way around using a more effective generation of tools when doing all the individual tasks of aggregating research, analyzing that, and even opening up solution spaces. We do this exercise to identify which kind of actions we have to take. First of all, of course, we continue our research, but we can steer it a little bit more and say, okay, what exactly do we want to research? We keep empowering our organization. That is something that is very important to us, to take everyone along this journey, but also our clients. So we have a common base of why are we talking about this here. We also have to change the way we are creating value, because if we don't change that, it would be a strange transformation that we don't really profit from. That was something that we heard yesterday with the example of Allianz. If you don't lower or improve the product for your customer, how did this disruption really happen to you? And then finally, organizational transformation. If we change the way we create value, we have to change the way we work together and how we structure work. To dive into the point 2 and 3, I brought one example because it's quite illustrative to show how we change the methods that we're working with. I guess personas is something that most of you are familiar with. It's just a way of trying to create an interface between customer research and product development to inform how do we imagine our customer groups. So this is a process that traditionally requires you to create, let's say, unstructured data of customer interviews, of feedback, of trying to understand what is our user thinking and doing. You go and identify insights, what is important for you. You have to cluster that, try to see, can we segment individual groups here? And then based on that, you try to create a narrative. How can we think of a coherent picture of this kind of cluster? And I guess since most of you are very deep in this Gen AI and AI topic, while I was talking, you thought along and were thinking, well, this is an LLM problem, right? Identifying within a data set, is that semantically close to each other? Can you extract a segment based on this list of unstructured data? Please create a coherent storyline. This is something that works very well with LLM. So this is one example how we really rethink the way and the methods that we're working with. And another example, or to dive into step 3, how are we changing our organization? What we figured out for ourselves was quite successful to introduce in each of the teams that we have at least one person that is really owning AI. So we call them AI heroes, to make sure that we have a place where we develop ourselves. We have someone who's responsible, who people can talk to, someone who has a certain budget and resource to deep dive into what's possible, who keeps informed, and so on. So that's something that was very good for us, and we also give them the opportunity to exchange and meet and make sure that not everyone is researching and doing the same thing, but they really build on each other's experiences. We realized that it's not sufficient just to sit them and place them in a room and let them do something, but we have to support them. And we chose to set up a central team that we call AI Mothership that is in contact to them, and they have a couple of responsibilities. First of all, they're the central point of contact to legal and IT, so they need to define which kind of tools can we roll out, for which reasons, what is the rollout process, do we need a new rollout process because we're not used to implementing so many new software solutions that are in some cases not in a stable version already. So we need to answer a couple of questions, but we want to answer them only once and not whenever there's a new request. So this is why we have this more centralized structure. And this is also the place where we allocate the responsibility for Lighthouse projects. So whenever we have to invest in ourselves to develop a tool for ourselves, this is something that we don't want to spawn in the individual practices, but we want to have a central place where we say this is where we allocate a certain budget to, and this is where we have to make the decision what is the project that is worth investing in and what not maybe at the moment. And finally, this mothership structure is also connected not only to our company management of HYVE, but with HYVE we're within Quest Group. So this is a company group with more than 1,500 employees, and with this initiative we are directly connected to the head of strategy of Quest. And that allows us to have a very, very good top-down buy-in, gives us a nice budget, a nice support, and keeps up the dynamic. I'm presenting that in detail because I think a lot of that resonated with what we heard yesterday from entirely different company structures. And that was quite interesting also for me to see. I think it's not super complicated, but what is nice about this approach is that we have this top-down buy-in. So we have the possibility to connect that closely to the company or corporate strategy, and on the other hand, we have a bottom-up approach that allows us to use this momentum that is happening in each organization. I think at least most motivated employees will, to some point, use Gen AI tools. So you have to find a way to get those worlds together. Two very quick examples of how we use this kind of background in client projects. One is with MD Electronic, automotive supplier that is creating cable solutions or wiring harnesses for automotive. We sat down together with them and first empowered their legal innovation and R&D team by really informing them what is AI, what is Gen AI about, and what can we do with it in innovation management. That was something that was important for us to first set a certain base of understanding before we dive into any kind of innovation process. And then we ran a very short 6-day innovation sprint. So for 6 days, we understood a new market, a new technology that they haven't been working on. And we created not just ideas, but actually patent drafts. So this is the base for patent filing. They just used that, handed that to the legal department, and they filed several patents based on this 6-day workshop. I'm showing that because this is something we could have never done without AI tools. This is a lot of work, understanding a new field, understanding the blank spots, and then being able to come up with new IP that is worth patenting. That was quite impressive to see that this is now possible within a very short amount of time. So we learned for innovation management, we profit a lot from this kind of AI transformation that we are doing, that is generally ongoing, the way tools change and so on. This is great, we have to use it, and we do use it. And on the other hand, we see this kind of strategic approach to innovation management of having to define a strategy, goals, responsibilities, but then also innovation process itself by opening up opportunity spaces, understanding them, clustering them, prioritizing them, defining where are we active, opening up solution spaces, trying to get a picture of where does it make sense to play as a company, how do we identify which initiatives makes it into development, where do we need to allocate budget, stuff like that we're really familiar with from innovation management is something that we see a lot now in this question of how do we use AI in our organization. And it was very interesting for me to see that many of you came up with a similar let's say, suggestion of how can we bring up the two or bring those two worlds together of value creation and of the technological potential of AI. Last example, we're using this kind of mindset now also for a transformation project. This is ongoing and we can't communicate too much about it yet, but it's actually we started in this case very similar as we did that in the innovation format that I displayed before. So we start with an empowerment. We started in this case by doing a webinar to the entire company group that is telling them about this is Gen AI, this is AI, this is how it works, this is why we're talking about it, this is the opportunity and the risk that we have with this technology. And that was important to take everyone along the journey. Then narrow that down to the specific departments that we want to focus on with our transformation process. And what was important for them was to give them the experience. How does it feel like to work with certain tools? Finally, we used that to understand what are your use cases, what are the processes you have to change anyways. Can we frame POCs? Can we evaluate where we need to dive into testing? And of course, we're doing all of that to understand in the end which kind of solution do we want to implement and how do we do that. Just to illustrate a little bit how this kind of transformation works from our perspective. I'll close with a vision, or a transformation process is not really complete if you don't adjust your vision at all. So we stick to this vision together, we innovate for a desirable future, but we do that by using AI. We want to unleash the power of AI and innovation. Thank you.